Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, all.
Evening, everybody. Good evening.
How are we doing?
Very good.
Yeah, really good.
Very good.
Really good. I did miss
Just
it last
noticed
week,
those,
though. I did miss it last week.
Oh, somebody's phone.
That's me. Sorry, just to interrupt.
Yeah.
Dramatic. It sounded like a start of a cinema or something.
It was one of those bloody adverts on Ross's channel.
There's a couple of them, mate. I wouldn't worry about it.
Nothing worse, is there?
I watched them all. I watched them all and then click on the advert. I gave him a load of money this time around. Every Sunday night, I'm just giving money, adverts and clicking.
Nice. Keep doing that. I'm happy for you to do that, mate. That's fine.
You can return the favour, won't you? Click on my advert.
Obviously. I will when you eventually post a video.
Well, I tell you what, talking of adverts though, I keep getting Grammarly adverts. I think I'm getting a hint that I can't spell. You know, because it's targeted adverts.
They are. I get booking.com all the time.
Yeah.
So obviously I've been on booking.com quite a bit recently, and of course they follow you around, don't they, through retargeting and stuff like that. It's a bit spooky what they do and how they do it. But and I get it for ages. Eventually it will stop, but it just seems to be every YouTube video seems to be booking.com.
They want you to book a holiday and they want me to be able to spell properly. That's what it is.
Yeah. Can you spell holiday?
Oh, see, I'm the guilty person that actually got YouTube Premium, so I pay for no adverts now because they annoyed me that much. Says the man that has adverts on his channel, but yeah, that is where I'm at.
Does your premium though pay for people whose channels you still watch?
Yes.
Yeah, people get I don't know how it works out, but they get a slice of that, don't they? But I'm not too sure how that works exactly. For everything you watch, they will get whatever.
You do get some amount of money. It's not the same as people who aren't premium. So nobody get premium, just stay as you are.
As we speak about YouTube, I know it's not reefing at the moment, but congratulations, Ross, on your subs. You've now overtaken me. And I feel happy. I feel the pressure's off now. I had a lot of weight on my shoulders to create content, which I wasn't creating in the last few weeks. But now you've taken over. That's your pressure now, Ross.
I think we're neck and neck. I don't think we've taken over. I think there's still a chance for you to claw it back here, mate. You need to just get on it.
I do need to make my 1 year video, to be honest. I do need to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I kept expecting it every day.
What's that?
I expected it every day, thinking he's past the 1 year mark. There's got to be a good video comes and nothing.
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. It's going to be really good or not, as a case maybe. No, I'm on it. You
got full production crew in, have you?
Yeah.
He's got dry ice. He's got the flashing lights. He's going to put his Radions on the kind of showcase lighting, thunder, and everything else.
I want the same guy. Jubilee, who did Alton Towers fireworks that I went to. I could do with them just doing a few for my tank for the first year birthday. That'd have been.
We'll have a big Rocky entrance with the smoke machines and that as well. That'll be what it is.
Guys, come on! You're putting too much on this.
Can't wait to see it. I tell you what, there's no dry ice and loud music. That's it. I'm going to do a thumbs down if you don't do that.
I know.
Oh my God, I'm feeling the pressure. But hello to everybody in the chat. It's good. There's loads of people already.
It is.
It's good to see a couple of returning faces. Bravo 20's joined us eventually. He's been missing for about 6 months, I think. But
missing in action.
He's back in.
Good to see him.
Who else?
Hope the tank's going well.
Faces.
Yeah, I hope the tank's going well.
Julie's here. We'll come along.
Hi, Julie. Julie's got the new tank, hasn't she? I wonder how she's getting on.
She has. It's quite good shit. You can see photos of it on Instagram, mate.
Yeah.
I've just been quiet on social media at the moment, but I need
have you?
Stop it! I'm just having a rest with my family and enjoying my reef tank. That's all I'm doing. Don't judge me for not being on social media for a few weeks.
That's quite all right, mate. You'll be fine. There's a good comment here from London Aquatic Design saying, hopefully with a David Attenborough overlay, Jay. That's something that you need to do on that video.
Do an impression.
He is my idol, absolute legend, God.
He is.
He's done so much for wildlife conservation, but I can't even compare to him. No chance. So
there we go. Jay's tank will be 2 years old in his next video.
Cheers, Michael. It's on its way. It's actually a year and a month now. I've missed it. I've missed the deadline.
No. You missed the boat on that.
It's okay, Jay. I'm sure absolutely nobody will comment that on the video saying that you're late with it. I don't think anybody will.
They won't now, will they?
No,
I think I'm trying to tackle demons as well because I'm 40 in 2 weeks.
Demons.
And I know, and I'm just like, I'm just enjoying life and just taking a break from filming at the moment. But I'm going to try and film.
You're having a midlife crisis then, Jay? Is that what the fish tank was about?
You know what though? They do say that there's a lot of people in this hobby who are having midlife crises, and that's why they've got into it. But hopefully not. No, I think it's just part of being 40. That's what it is. Can't explain everything.
Have you got big plans for your 40th?
Not really. Going out into town, having a few drinks, and then going to watch Derby play football, which is shocking at the moment. But
so that could be good, bad, or indifferent, couldn't it?
Well, I know, yeah. And just spending time with Marie Tank. I've put a year into this now, and obviously people do, you put so much time into it. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to have a couple of weeks where I don't have to film it. I'm just going to enjoy it, watch it grow. And that's what I've been doing. So, yeah. And I've also, this is how much I love reefing. I've fed my fish before I've even eaten myself today. That's how much dedication I've got.
Impressive, mate.
I know.
Not true what they say about you.
What did Black Pearl Reef said there? Because I missed that one. Sorry.
He says Jay's midlife crisis started when he lost his shrimp.
I do miss that little guy. And touch wood, that's the only loss I've had so far. So I don't know what happened to him. But
that is pretty good though. In a year, starting the tank.
Yeah, I've lost 2 snails as well, but
you were doing so well until you said the 2 snails.
I didn't name the snails, so they weren't quite. It wasn't the conch snails, which I am attached to. They were 2 of the cleanup crew, but yeah, that was.
How many conch snails do you have in that tank, Jay?
I have 2, which is a lot for a little tank like this, but they turn the
one.
sandbed over. I wouldn't be without either of them. They plough through the sand, turning it over, keeping the kind of, the build-up of ammonia and nitrates down, because obviously they turn the sand over. And they're cool little guys to watch.
I actually really like them. I always recommend them to people that I think they're great to have in the tank.
Yeah, great creatures. They're weird though, aren't they, with the eye poking out the side?
Yeah,
they remind me of the thing from was it Teletubbies? The thing that had the big long nose thing on it.
No.
Yeah,
no, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's what it reminds me of. And every time I see it, I think,
that's a great analogy, Ross.
So Jay's gonna call his Nunu now.
Nunu.
Oh no.
Well, it's called Carl. One of them's called Carl, and the other one didn't get a name, to be honest. The second one. But yeah, they're great. They're great cleanup crew, and they're good for the sandbed. Really good. But sometimes people say that they hide for a few days. Mine do that. They'll hide in the sand for like 4 days,
they do.
And then they do a few laps constantly, and then they'll hide again.
Yeah. Do you find them climbing the glass? Because I can't believe I see mine about 2 or 3 inches up the glass even, and you wonder how they bloody hell got the strength for that.
I see mine on top of the rockwork sometimes as well. It seems to skip itself up on top of the rocks, and I didn't think they would have done that, to be honest, but they do.
Yeah,
I just want to mention this here. One-armed reefers put a thing saying wish he'd only lost a shrimp this year. I don't know if you've seen, but he actually had his tank featured on Parker's Reef. Parker's Reef done a video showing his tank, and it's actually really, really impressive. He's got basement, basically his entire sump, and everything's all in there. It's well worth a watch. So if you go over to Parker's Reef channel and have a look at that,
it's
actually a really
YouTuber
good
on his
video.
own though, Ross?
Sorry, mate?
He's got a YouTube symbol on his thing. Is he a YouTuber on his own as well? Has he got his own channel?
So I believe he's starting a channel. Well, he's got a channel going, but I think he's just starting to put videos on it.
If you look at the logo on the screen, it says One-Armed Reefer, and I think it says coming soon. So I don't know if that's videos coming soon, but that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Everybody should have a YouTube channel. You just document what. Oh, he has. Subscribing now.
Yeah.
18 subs.
But the video on Parker's Reef is actually really, really good. So go and check that one out, and then go and check out One-Armed Reefer's channel as well, because it's actually worth having a look at. So
I will take a look.
Paul Julie said the Chalice and Frog Spawn are doing okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Julie picked up. I met her at the station again for the second time to drop off some
dodgy dealings, mate.
Rumours are going to spread here. Rumours are going to spread.
Pass over a bag of stuff, get some money in return. Can't be bad, can
it? JNB Reefing is asking if your conch are the same types.
Oh my god.
Do they look the same?
They got the same. Yeah, they got the same weird look, to be honest, and they're about the same size, and the shells are the same color.
So that's a yes. Then we'll go with yes.
I would have said yes.
Yeah.
My answer to this is I didn't even know you could get this subspecies of conch.
Well, I think mine's is a strawberry conch. Is that right? I think.
Yeah, so is.
And I think you get orange lips, and there's a. I'm not a conch expert, but although I'm a pizza expert, Jay, and you're teasing me with that.
Sorry. My Just Eat. Everybody has a takeaway on a Friday. It's just a thing, isn't it? You got to have a takeaway on a Friday. And my Just Eat order was supposed to be for 7 o'clock. Then it was like 20 past, half past, quarter to. I was like, oh my God, it turned up at 10 to 8. I was racing through the food, a bit like a food challenge, from your brother, Ross. Have you seen your brother on YouTube who does food challenges?
That guy is an absolute legend.
Have you seen him?
What a guy. That's my aspiration in life.
Beard meets food. That's him.
Incredible.
That was me earlier. I was like stuffing the food down and trying to drink as fast as I can before the live stream because I didn't want people to think I wasn't professional.
I don't think they would think that, mate. I think that's a given.
Look at the next comment. I think that sums us up. If you're going to go down to Real Reef.
Good job. Yep, that's pretty much it. I think everybody that's watching should probably know what we're like by now. So
yeah, if you want professional, then go and watch probably Reef Dudes, Reef Dog, and a few others. I would say.
Yeah, we're certainly not professionals, but
we enjoy the hobby. I enjoy the hobby.
We do.
Anyway, Mogsy's here. I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but evening, Mogsy. Hope your shift is going okay. I know he's working tonight, so we're missing him again.
We miss you, Mogsy. When's he coming back on next week?
I don't know if it's next week or the week after. I can't remember. I think it's the week after next. That would have been the fourth week.
I do miss him. I like it when all four of us are on, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah, it's good. Anyone else from Canada in here?
Oh,
there we go.
Welcome from Canada.
Hello to Canada.
Hello from over the pond and up a bit.
Oh, yeah. Incredible country.
I'd like to go to Canada, actually.
Yeah, my favourite YouTube channel at the moment, obviously, all the people in the chat and you guys as well, but...
Good recovery.
There's a Switzerland flag.
Wave your flag.
Fragbox TV. If you don't follow Fragbox TV, from the Coral Shop in Canada. It's an amazing channel. I love it.
Yeah, it's good, actually.
One of my favourites amongst many.
Yeah, so... What has been happening this week, guys? Paul, you any excitement that's been happening this week?
I wouldn't say excitement, but I am in the process of breaking the tank down, as you know. So
we are, yeah.
All the frog spawn have gone. The candy cane, you might have seen, if those who follow me on Instagram, you would have seen how big the candy cane is. So far, I've got 15 frags out of it. And probably in the region of about, 50 heads on it, on those 15. And the rest of it is in the sump. I'll show you what's happening at the moment with it.
He's like a special guest. He's off it less than he's on it, isn't it, to be fair?
But when he's here, he adds the quality. That's the thing.
He'll put his logo up on the side bit where the guests
you can see that. That's what it looks like at the moment.
Hang on, Paul. I'm just going to put you on.
So that's actually been in the sump and the heads are still out.
Wow. That's impressive.
So I've still got a fragged out, but I've taken it from the main. And then all the frags are in the DD Reef Pro in the sump with just a algae light on it. And they're all the polyps are extending everything. So all I did was just fragged it around the sides.
Yeah.
So I've still got probably about, I don't know if that's a half, but there's enough frags there still to go around.
Huge those candy canes. Are you just snipping them off with the coral cutters? Is that what you're doing?
I think that's what he's doing, mate. He won't be able to hear us just now, so we'll wait till he comes back.
Are you just snipping them off with the coral cutters then, and then mounting them onto?
Yeah.
What frag plugs? They look quite.
No, I use the flat discs.
Yeah.
So it stays out of water for a good 15 minutes or so. I frag them, then clean them off, snip them down to size, and then I leave them out for about 5 minutes on putty. So I get a flat disc, put glue on the disc, then a bit of putty, then some glue on that, and then put them in there. They stay out for about 5 minutes. As long as they're still wet, they don't. They're okay. And then I just put them in the sun. So I mean, that's been in there since Monday, and it's still got polyp extension on them, which is amazing. Wow. So I'll frag the rest of that.
There's no lights.
There's no lights in that at all. When I frag Chalice and stuff like that, I sometimes keep it in there for about a week to rest, and then they're still fine. So I'll frag that probably the rest of it next week. I haven't got any room at the moment, but I'm shifting some of the frags next week. I'll frag the rest.
So see, when it comes to fragging them, Paul, you know how they're quite a long stem on them. How do you judge where to cut them down to? Is there a mark you can see on it, or is it just a case of guesstimation?
No, I usually leave about an inch and a half on them. So you can, depends on how big how many frags you went on it, but you can. Have its own little show. So it depends. So sometimes I can snip them to about that, and other times they're quite high. But they're really, really, really hardy. No, so Nick, no, I just put them on frag discs. The reason being that then it's really convenient. You can sit them on the sand bed, or I sit them on the sun, and it's a lot easier. If I just put them on normal frag plugs, they fall over basically. And also I find they're quite easy to post that as well, because I do send them out in the post as well to people. What I tend to do, I snip them down a bit shorter because they go into pots when I send them. They're really big. I just put them in a bag. So I sent out bubble coral earlier this week. That was a 2-head bubble coral. So I need to frag some more bubble coral. I've got about another 7-8 frags of bubble coral to do as well. Then that's gone. And then I'll start on the Duncans. So I've got 2 colonies of Duncans, probably about, 35 heads on each one.
Wow.
So
where do people go for your corals then, Paul? Where can people, if people are watching now and they fancy a bit of
just message me on Instagram. So that's what a couple of people have done. So some of the Chalice. So what I tend to do, anyone who's interested, if I haven't fragged it, I always let them settle for at least 2 weeks. Chalice get settled for longer because they've got to heal a little bit more, and then go from there really.
I take it you've cleared quite a bit of your tank out already, Paul, because the light seems to be getting a lot further through the tank.
On the left hand side. There. Yeah, that was the candy cane in that corner.
Oh, was it?
So that was, well, you saw by the picture, it must have been about a foot in diameter.
Yeah, it was massive.
And that grew from 2 heads. And it's been fragged, I don't know how many times over the last 5 years. And it's probably one of the highest points in the tank as well. It just loves the light. That's why I'm surprised that it's doing okay in the sun, but it'll be fine. But what I find, even if it retracts a little bit, then put them on the bottom of the sand bed and just introduce it to light again, and they'll be fine. But I can't really frag anything else because I haven't got any more room to put anything. I would have fragged the rest of that by now, but I just haven't got the room. So it's just one of those. It's a gradual process that I'm going to do. A lot of the SPS. So not this Saturday, next Saturday. There's 3 people I know locally that I'll give quite a few SPS to. So that's what
I was going to say. It's one of those kind of awkward things that you can't frag a load of it and then have a queue of people at the door try to get them. You need to try and plan it properly. To frag a bit, give it to somebody. Frag a bit, give that to somebody. And it's a very time-consuming process, that I'd imagine. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's not when you send them out in a post. It's not bad. So I usually try and send them out in batches. So I do 3 or 4 in a day. Yeah. It takes about an hour to do it, and it's and post office just down the bottom of the road. So I've done enough of it over the years that it's fairly easy to do. It's a little bit time consuming, and then if people come around, I just bag it up, or they provide a bag, put the water in it, and then off they trot. I used to have, when people used to come in, used to be like half hour for a chat and stuff like that. But at the moment, it's a shame missing out talking to people. In another way, it's just really quick. And it's sorted in with Julie. I meet her at the station. So I've done that with a few people actually, where they come on the train, and then I just go to the station, exchange money for corals, and off they go. Money for a little plastic bag, and away they go. Is that what? Yeah. So it is. I mean, when I that candy cane, it was a bit sad that I've chopped that up, and then I'll keep 1 frag for myself just in case I want it for another tank, and the rest will just go. I'll probably give a couple of pieces to other people I know locally, just in case I lose a piece, and then they can frag their piece. That's what I do with quite a few people. I've got an agreement with them that I'll frag stuff. They can have it for free. If I then want to frag back and it's still alive, then I get a frag back free. And I've done that for people, and people have done that for me. So it's a really good way of sharing things really cheaply as well. So yeah, I think it's quite good for the whole. It used to happen like that quite a few years ago, where people would give frags away, you share it a bit more. I know, Ross, you do that quite a bit with the community, the WhatsApp group and everything that you've got, haven't you? So I think...
Although I seem to have gained a lot more than I've gave out just now, so that's going to come round in a full circle, and I'll be giving everything away soon. But
yeah, and it certainly happened a lot when I first started, and I still do. There's a few people that I would give coals to, and they give coals to me, because I've known them 5, 6, 7 years. We've just exchanged things over the time, and you give and you get, and you save a lot of money collectively. So
I just want to jump back to a comment here that I think we missed. That was from Jake saying his clownfish has got Popeye. Should I be worried? That's not something I've ever experienced. I know one of them in the chat said he's just banged it. They normally heal themselves. I don't know. I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you.
No, nor do I. I haven't experienced that at all.
I know there's a good site that I looked on before. I think it's called Humble Fish. Does that ring a bell? I think there's a forum that's something like Humble Fish or something like that, where you can get basically a lot of help on clownfish disease, fish disease and stuff like that. It's more suited to that kind of thing. Failing that, I would say Ultimate Reef or Reef to Reef or something like that. Have a look at them and you might get something on there. But personally, I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if you Google it, it'll probably come up. I suppose it's then a case of, do you trust what's on Google? But I suppose if there's 3 or 4 different things on there saying the same thing, they might not be all wrong. Or they might be able to help, and local fish store might be able to help you. But I haven't experienced that, Jake. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, 100% said, Humble Fish is a great place for info. So if you have a look on Humble Fish, Humble. In fact, I just put that comment up there. Humble Fish. I've looked on that before. There's Jamie's just said Humble Fish is a user on Reef to Reef for useful threads. So yeah, if you just search for Humble Fish, you'll find that, and it's actually been really, really good for when I had all the hassle with the clowns at the start, way back. There's a lot of useful information on there. Again, like you say, take everything with a pinch of salt and do your research. But the stuff that I read on there was actually quite helpful. So I was quite happy with that, to be honest with you.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, in one of the tanks, I've actually turned off the skimmer. So in the DD Reef Pro 900, so when I emptied out all the sump and then I had the problems and everything else, I haven't put the skimmer back in. And the tank's doing really well. I had problems with SPS, and now all of the Monties are beginning to colour up. Now it could be a coincidence. I don't know. I don't think it's down to that. I certainly had an issue where I was probably stripping out too many nitrates. So at the moment, I still haven't set up the new Clarice, even though I've had that for like 6 weeks. It's just running the tank purely on a refugium. Yeah, it's doing really well. So I'm sitting there thinking, I really should put that Clarice in, because I've just spent a lot of money on it. But the tank's doing really well. I mean, the sump is really dirty, but it's just, and the nutrient level's pretty good, and it's sucking it out. And I know people do. I mean, Ross, you haven't got a skimmer in yours, and I suppose if it's good enough for a 50 litre, then why wouldn't it be good enough for 280 litre?
Yeah, I think
it's volume of water, isn't it? The rest of the principles are the same, aren't they?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm doing what in theory is probably a 20% water change every week, so I personally don't have a need for a skimmer, I don't think. And you could probably scale that up to a bigger tank if you're doing a big enough water change. Do you need a skimmer? I don't know. It's one of those things I've heard a lot of people saying recently, that more and more people now are going skimmerless, whereas before, if you had a marine tank, it was a must-have. You had to have a skimmer and that was it. Whereas now, I don't know quite how necessary it is. I think for a pH point of view, maybe boost your pH a bit. It's not something that I struggle with personally in a tank. Well, my little tank's fine for pH. But I know some people, you had difficulties with that in your garage, Paul, did you not?
Yes, I've got problems. I have got problems with the pH, and I've found whenever I've put any sticks in there, they haven't survived. Now, It could be down to something else. I've done an ICP, so I know it's not down to metals. So I know it's not that. Even when I had a frag tank in there, which is the previous tank, I did have problems with acros in there. Whereas in that tank now, I don't keep things like strawberry shortcake or anything else. But even if I've got stylos, digitata, some of the easier keeping sticks, I still have problems after about 3 or 4 months. They will strip. Yeah. Monty seems to be the only thing that's surviving, and that could be totally unrelated. The pH is low, so I've kind of given up on that. It has got a pH probe on it, so the pH is usually around about 7.8. I mean, I've got a refugium in there, and I know with an algae like that can help with pH as well. So I've definitely haven't got optimum pH in there. I haven't really noticed it's dropped, but the fact if LPS are doing pretty well and Monty's doing pretty well, then I think I'm okay. But I'll just avoid sticks in there. I haven't got round. If I was going to do I know some people, I could put a tube that runs outside. I could put that into the intake of the skimmer. I will do that eventually. I haven't got round to doing that. But I think for now, I'm okay where I am. But I think if I wanted to go into a bit more on the SPS side, I probably would kick the skimmer back in, put the air pipe into it, and certainly I would move the pH up closer to 8.1, I think. But yeah, it seems to be more and more people. Nick's asked, what's the iron level? I don't know, but it was green on the ICP, because iron wasn't one that was an issue on the ICP, because I was thinking I might have issues with nutrients because of running a refugium. Refugiums can, or Cheeto can, I understand, take some of the smaller elements out. But all of that was bang on. I was quite surprised, actually, that, you put that algae depletes iron. And the ICP was probably only about a month ago, and the refugium has been running since about month 4, and the tank's been running since, January last year. So yeah, that was okay, because I was thinking of dosing something like the Red Sea colours, because that has some of the smaller elements in it, like potassium, and it has iron, and some of the others. And I was about to start, but that was okay, Nick. So I did wonder whether things like iron and some of the others were causing problems, because they can cause problems not just on that, but colours, can't they? Colouring as well. But I just can't grow SPS in there, because it was going to be an SPS dominated tank, which is a bit frustrating, but I've just given up for now until I probably close this one down, take that off my hands, and I'll focus on that and have a bit more time to knock it into shape. But at the moment, it's more like a frag tank at the moment, and the chalices and the LPS absolutely love it in there. I've got to take a chalice to a AirFest next week. It's the blue one that's about 9 inches in diameter. I need to get rid of that because I can't fit any more frags in there. But yeah, Chalice seems to be really good. So so other than that, not a lot's happening.
So what's the kind of long-term plans for the shutdown of that tank then, Paul? Are you going to get rid of everything, sell everything, or are you going to keep it and store it away?
No, that's the tank is going, because one of the reasons why I was closing it, and I mentioned it, was the cabinet. Had seen better days. I'm a really messy reefer, and I'm not particularly tidy at all. So the hinges have gone a bit rusty, but it has an effect. There's no metals in the tank, and the door's a little bit warped. If I could, if it was in a better condition, I wouldn't close it down. I'd probably reset it a little bit, cut the corals back a little bit more, take a little bit of rock out. But what I'm going to do, so the corals, I'm going to keep Fragger bubble coral. I've got 3 rainbow chalices. They're definitely staying because they're my favourite corals. They'll go in the other tank. Fish-wise, I'm going to keep the 2 clowns. One of the clowns, the female, is the very first fish I got. Keeping the Xenia, because that's the very first coral I got. And the Bangai cardinals, because they're the ones that I bred in that tank. But all the other fish will go. The one that's probably going to be the one I don't want to get rid of is the yellow tang, but I'm not putting the yellow tang in the 3-foot tank.
Yeah, because you don't know how long that would end up being there for, really, would you?
Yeah, I probably will get a bigger tank, but I don't know. That might be 6 months, 9 months, 12 months away. I don't know. I mean, I really like the peacock wrasse I've got. I've got 3 of those, but I'll get rid of those.
Mm-hmm.
I might move a couple of fish into the other 2 tanks.
But
that's it. And then I don't know if I'll start a 3rd tank up or I'll stick with 2. I might go retro, second hand, do that kind of tank, which I've said to you guys before.
Yeah.
Just to see what you can do, because I mean, let's face it. All of
I'm gonna pause you here for a minute, mate.
Here he is.
Look at this.
Yeah, he's got the tank behind him as well.
How's it going?
What's going on here?
Somebody said to me, you know what? Everyone else has their fish tanks in the background that you're always thinking. So I've shifted the missus up to bed. She can go to bed, and I'm down there before the lights go out.
Nice one, mate. I thought you were working.
I am, mate. You know what? To be truthful, I've got a chest infection and stuff like that. So I took a few hours off. Well, I went in and just said, listen, I need a few hours off. You know what I mean? So I took the rest of the night off. And so I'm on antibiotics. So I've got me the soothers, whole soothers for my throat, and I've got what everybody needs. What does everybody need when they're ill? You know what I'm saying? No, Lucasade. We all have Lucasade. Well, you know,
be the Jura, mate.
You need full sugar Lucasade. That's what you need. So that's what I'm on today for sure.
True. Brilliant to have you, mate. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Can't miss an opportunity like this.
No. I just want to quickly comment here, because I think this question has been asked twice, if I found a better return pump for my Peninsula Mini 15 or still in the stock one. So the guys will laugh about this, but I did try a different return pump, and I tried the Sicce Silent Synchro 1.0 that Steve recommended to me. Came highly recommended, and turned out it was the loudest pump I have ever heard in my entire life. Now, I will quantify that and say that there's a reason that it was loud. And that was because, now I think what it is when you connect the return tubing on the Peninsula Mini, I think the size of it just restricts the flow that little bit too much. And from that, it just starts rattling and banging. So long story short, I'm still running the stock pump. So the stock pump did get noisy. I emailed Waterbox and they sent out a replacement, which has been fine, touch wood, since then. So yeah, that's literally where I'm at with that one, mate. So yeah. Welcome back, Steve. It's good to see you.
I'm used to seeing Steve's tank from this angle. It looks good.
I know. It's the first time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm going to need to. I need to do it. There we go.
Yeah.
Get your head out of the way, Steve. That's it.
Bar as well. The Orfec bar you can see at the front.
Looks really good, mate.
Yeah.
You see, I love. Let me just get up there. I love this.
You're supposed to be resting, Steve.
He's showing off with this new laptop, isn't he?
I need you.
Yeah.
I love this time of the night. Hey, there's the Chalice there, Jay.
Wow, how much is
you've moved it?
Six. It's got 6 eyes on it now.
Nice.
It looks
and
brilliant.
It's got more coloration as well. It's got more.
Yeah, it's gone like more. Got a lot more green in it, you know, as well as like this grey blue type thing. Yeah, so
it's special.
Yeah, everything's, and there's the gunny. Look at the gunny border.
Oh yeah,
loving life. That was, so you know what? That's gave me a boot. That's gave me a bit of a boost now, because I'm thinking I might even get a pink Gonny Porter now. You know what I mean?
That one at Kraken, mate, was incredible. Wasn't it?
I know. I think I might. Now that for some reason I can see like I can keep them. So I can keep that one. So I can't see why I can't keep any other. So I think I might look into doing that. Getting another one of them, a pink one. See how it goes. You know.
That was driving there. It's absolutely driving on that fragment.
Yeah. It's going well. I mean, the nutrients are rising up. I was bottoming out on the on the nitrates. The phosphates were keeping stable. Phosphates are keeping like 0.08 to 0.10. So I don't mind that. I like the higher nitrate, the higher phosphates, like I said. But I couldn't get, no matter what I did. So in the end, what I did was I took like six to eight bio balls out, and then I took one of the max bet blocks out of the the baffles. I took one of them out as well.
We talked about that a few weeks ago, didn't we? About shipping some of those out to take the nitrates
and I did. And I left it like a week, just over a week, and then I tested it the other day, and it's now 5.1 at 5.1 ppm. So it's raised from like 1.2. You know what I mean?
Better, it's a bit healthier. So I'm happy. SPS as well.
Exactly. So definitely happier with that for sure. But yeah, it was been a bit tricky with nitrates. But I've always had a bit of a problem with nitrates. It's just phosphates, it goes up and down, but nitrates always seems to be like hardly any in the tank, which is an issue. You know what I mean? I don't know why, but it's just one of those things.
I mean, those bio balls, they're good, but you're trying to get the balance. I know Ross, we just talked about yours. You had a kilogram or whatever it was.
I had a kilo. I bought a kilo of Max Bet bio balls and thought, great, they'll do the job, and put the whole kilo in my 15-gallon tank, which to start with was fine because they weren't seeded. And as soon as they seeded and started to grow the bacteria or divide bacteria, whatever it does, I don't think it grows as such, does it? But whatever the technical one for it is, my nitrates dropped off the face of the planet, and I couldn't get them back up again no matter how much I fed. So I'm down to 4 bio balls for my little tank now, which, to be fair, is probably still overkill. But my nitrates are pretty steady at about 10, and they have been steady for a couple of weeks now. So quite happy with that. But it just shows that, MaxBet could really sell those balls individually and probably do just as well.
It's true.
But a kilo of them. I mean, there's been lots of people who said to me, I've bought a kilo of bio balls and put them in, and I say to them, that's not going to be good. Don't do that.
No.
I was totally guilty of that myself. That was the first thing I done, was bought the box and went, I'll just put the whole box in. So, it's just need to be careful with that.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, that's nice and easy, isn't it? You think from a nitrate point of view, you put it in your tank, they seed, and things get pretty simple. But on the phosphate, it's not. I mean, you can do it, but it's not as maintenance-free, isn't it? Because I know we talked about having rower phos before, and there's different things, and you can put chemicals in, and you can dose on a daily basis. But the bio balls are so easy, and once you get the balance right, that's it. Off they trot, and you haven't got to do a lot. If only there was a bio ball for phosphate, but maybe that's not chemically possible. I don't know. I don't understand enough about that part to do that, because then you can just put that in for that in for that, and you're sorted, aren't you? Maybe that's just over simplistic, but you know what I mean? I don't know if there is anything like that.
You see, for me, I think when I took that tang out of my tank, that was when I started to see it bottoming out, like going to zero. You know what I mean? And listen, tangs, they excrete a hell of a lot of stuff out there. You know what? And no matter what anybody says, it's just like once you take something like that, which which produces a lot of waste out of your tank, it's gonna. You remember, everything's breaking it down. So by the time, if I take that out, all that stuff is still breaking all the nitrates and all the stuff down. So if there's not hardly any in the tank, then in turn it's going to like drop everything, and that's what it definitely did, and that's what I started to see, like me millipora started to bleach, and it was just wasn't looking right. And then now subsequently, it's where's my finger? It's no longer there now. It's gone. I've had to take it out because it died. So it's one of those things, but that's going to be on my next video, so definitely tune into that one for sure. But since I took that out, that's when I started to see zero, hardly very, very little nitrates in my tank. You know what I mean? And then I thought to myself, I've got no option. Do exactly what Ross done. Take his stuff out, take the bio balls out, and reduce the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria in my tank, just to take all that stuff out, the bio load, and thankfully it started to raise up now. I like to see mine between 5 and 10 on the nitrates. That I seem is a sweet spot for me. So hopefully it'll rise to about 7 or 8, and that'll be like perfect for me. I think that'll be like bang on. So, and then I'll try and keep it there. Then if I had to add a bit more bio balls, then I will do just one at a time. I'll just do that. You know what I mean? It's not an issue, just to keep it there.
Makes sense.
There's a question here. Where can I get a torch for 30? I'm assuming that's 30 or 40 quid.
Yeah.
Long tentacles. First one, the tentacles less than 2 centimeters, even fully opened, and then they've followed up with that saying in London. So I would say that AAC is probably the best bet, but
so I think
2 centimeters for a torch seems very strange.
It does, because I haven't had loads and loads of torches, but
Yeah.
I've had probably about 6 to 8 in total in the time. And certainly if you look at the ones that I've got at the moment, the one in that tank, the flow isn't as good, so they probably don't extend more than about an inch and a half. The ones in the 900, the tentacles, they were stinging the hammer originally, and they was extending to halfway across the tank. So that must have been 5 inches, say. So I thought maybe there is one that has a short tentacle, but all the ones I've experienced in the right conditions, and they don't need that much flow, I find. If you absolutely bash the float, and they will tend to retract.
Yeah, they close up.
But a decent flow, just kind of like that, I would say, and they should go a lot longer. So maybe there is.
I mean, I got that cheap
torch.
one. The cheap torch that I got was only, I think it was 20 quid per head from Nessie's Lair, and that has grown absolutely huge now. It's just a green torch. It's nothing spectacular, but it's grown massive, and I mean, it's really long tentacles on it. But the one next to it, which again I don't know about names, but I think it's a TCK Master one, the really nice coloured one. It was quite short when I first put it in, and I moved it what was probably an inch further forward on the bit of rock it is, and it came out straight away because the flow was just that little bit less at the front of that rock compared to at the back where the flow was nipping round, and it's opened up instantly. So it could be flow, like you say, Paul. It's that.
Yeah, there's another comment he's put on there about it's a newly grown single head, so it could be that it is still adjusting to maybe frag recently. That could be it. Adjusting to the tank, so it could be that as well. Whereas ones that may be more established haven't maybe just fragged their heel kind of thing. Maybe just feel a little bit better in the conditions that they're in. Not your tank, just the way they are. In terms of where you can get a new one for that price, it depends what side of London you're on. Because if you're on the west side, then maybe go out to Windsor. You've got I can't remember the name of the place. If you're on Instagram, message me, because there's a couple of places out West London, or if you're in East London, there's a couple of places I can recommend there for you to go. That depending also what you're looking for as well. If you're looking for a basic green one, I think you've got a chance of getting 30, 40 quid. If you're looking for a gold torch or one of the more colourful ones, even though I think the prices have come down compared to when we was talking about it 5 months ago, when they were like scarce and top dollar prices, definitely there's a lot more supply around, isn't there? I think they're not as expensive as they were.
I'm still seeing gold torches going for. I've not seen any for less than £140 for gold torches. Not even where I am. I've not seen one. Not, like Indonesian torches. I've seen. I think I've seen one for 140. Obviously, if you buy like a 2-header, then they always reduce it, don't they? So they say get a 2-head one for, you can have it for 210 or 220. So you get it in theory 1 head for 110, 120. But if you're buying single, always seem to be one. I haven't seen any less for 140 because I was looking at getting another one. I wanted the Rasta. I wanted to look for a Rasta one.
That's nice, isn't it?
And for the love of money, I can't find one. You know what I mean? But just to go in the centre where mine are, but I haven't found one, really, to be truthful. So I'm not just going to buy one. But you can definitely pick up green ones and like I said, some of the purple ones. I've seen a purple one for, I think one was going for £45 up here. Obviously, it's there in London, but Paul will obviously know exactly the places.
Yeah, so he's saying East London. So it depends. If you've got a car, I'd go further out east. So you've got E-Marine, which is out Whitford. That I think it's a really good value shop. You get some torches there fairly cheap. You got AAC, which you'll get quality, but you'll pay a bit more money. Coral Passion is outside of London. That's out kind of Chelmsford way. That's pretty good. You got H2O Aquatics. That's in Brentwood. They're the ones I can think off the top of my head. You get some decent sellers on things like Band. So there's a couple of shed sellers, garage sellers around kind of Romford way, which is not far from me. They sell some torches. They'll be pretty decent price as well. But if you want to message me, I can give you some more details on Instagram Tech Trader if you want. But yeah, you can definitely get some for that kind of price point, but there'd be greener ones rather than goldy ones, I would say.
Ultimate Reef's probably a good place to look as well, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, it's a fair point. I've said that before. I mean, you can pick up some really good corals on there. Lucky enough, there's actually quite a few people on there around the Essex, East London area that might have that. If not, I'd be surprised if you can't pick up a torch on there. People will post stuff out to you as well. Yeah. And they're really decent prices. We've had this conversation before around decent prices. People give away things for free as well on there. The other day, there was someone for a tank that was given away. I think it was a Red Sea 170, it might have been.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I got a frog spawn actually for free off a guy on Ultimate Reef as well. That's really nice. So there's definitely stuff there to be had. You just need to keep a look at it.
Yeah.
Have you joined it yet, Jay?
No, I haven't. No, you keep recommending it to me, don't you? But I need to get on there, especially if it's free stuff. I could do with something.
I know, that's why I'm surprised you've not been on it.
I'm all about the freebies, but yeah, they took with my torches as well. Just going back to that torch conversation. If the flow is too strong, then that's when mine tend to retract all the time. Yeah, it is quite a gentle flow that they need actually, just to make them, sway a little bit. But yeah, the main influence on the extension is the flow for me as well. But yeah, try and shift it.
Speaking of that, Jay, what's been happening with your tank recently?
Not a great deal. I've just been watching it grow out a little bit, to be honest with you. I haven't added anything new. I have bought another SPS frag from Signature Frags, which I absolutely love. Signature Frags. He updated his website, I think, about a week ago. But I haven't been to collect it yet either, so I haven't had the time. It's crazy, so I've reserved it, but I'm going to go and pick that up.
You need to get the suit raked out to go back there, mate.
Oh, that was from work, that was, Ross, but dressing up. So I've ordered a new coral from there. I do need to do some maintenance on my sump this weekend though, because I'm getting pineapple sponges, and at first I really like them because obviously they're great filter feeders and they're obviously good at cleaning the water column. But now I've got that many that they're starting to slow the pump down, the skimmer pump, things like that.
Oh, right.
So I need to get in there, which I'm a bit worried about because I haven't actually been in the sump. So I'm worried about disturbing stuff and releasing a load of nitrates or whatever. But I don't know. I'm going to get in there on Sunday and just I don't know what to do really with these sponges.
If you turn the flow off, Jay, if you turn the flow off, turn the pump off, then actually the water will be isolated in there. You can then drain the whole thing out, clean it out, and then you won't be releasing anything, will you? And then I would use some citric acid or something like that on the return pump.
Yeah.
So clean it out. I wouldn't use vinegar, but something like citric acid seems to work. Give it a clean with a toothbrush, and you're good to go, I would say.
Yeah, I've not done my maintenance on my sump, and I've held off because I was just a bit nervous about what to do, and it's not very accessible on the Max Nano. To get down there and to try and siphon out debris. It's not as easy as it might be on some other. If you've got the large sump underneath. Yeah. But I need to do that this Sunday, so that's a job to do. But I've got a bit of sweet with my torches as well. So my Dragon Soul over here, I've lost one of the heads off it. The algae, air algae started to grow up the sides of it.
Yeah.
And then it started to climb over the top, obviously, where the tentacles were, and then it killed the torch, the head of one of the torches. On the plus side, I've lost the head on that one, but then I've gained a head on the Holy Grail, the one that I had real issues with. Well, yesterday I spotted it's now got 2 mouths. So I'm like, yes, get in. So, I'm well happy with that because that is my favourite torch. So that's kind of, that's been happening as well. But,
so, Jay, have you found that you're not doing a lot to it, that it's thriving more and your interference or lack of interference is benefiting the tank?
Yeah, I think it's reached that stage now where there's a bit of balance in the system with the nitrates, the phosphates and things like that.
Yeah.
I've not got my hand in it all the time. In fact, I've rarely got my hand in it. Just watching it, just do its thing really. And I just keep feeding it with natural products. So I've got put some more phyto in today. I put some Daphnia, live Daphnia. Yeah, I've never used those before, but I thought I'd put some of those in. I've got the brine shrimp in there. And then I was looking at these bloodworm, the red, the bloodworm live foods there. And I thought about, I'll tell the truth, I did put some in, right? But nothing's eating it. So now I've got like a few worms. I've got worms on my sandbed.
You've got worms there, have you, Jay?
I've got worms. Well, I didn't put the whole bag in, which I'm lucky, I think.
Thank God, you'd have a tank of worms, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, because none of the fish ate them. And I'm like, whoa, they're all going in the sand. Where are they going? I'm like, whoa, get up. Jeez. So yeah, I've got some bloodworms in my sandbed, which I don't know. I'm all about adding biodiversity. So anything that's live foods, anything that's natural, I just keep putting that in as well. And reef, but what eats the bloodworms? Because clams don't, blennies don't, gobies don't, and scooter blennies don't.
My clownfish do.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Yours are a bit picky. They're used to caviar, your ones.
They're into caviar and lobster, yours. That's what
lobster eggs, didn't they? Yeah. Lobster eggs for bloodworm. I mean, what are you going to go for, right?
Eggs. Yeah, they do. I read that the bloodworms were good for clowns, but mine just let them just pass by, and then they were on the sandbed. I was like, Jesus, what have I done here? Now, what will they stay alive in there? The bloodworms?
Yeah, until somebody eats them.
I don't think anything's going to eat it. That's the problem.
Yeah, they'll turn into about that big.
No, when you come back next week, there'll be just bloodworms everywhere all over the sandbed. Honest to God, right? Nothing ate them, and then they all cleared off into the sand. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done there? But anyway,
listen, the bloodworms will eat any uneaten food, mate. So good clean up crew. Keep them like that. They'll be good clean up crew. I don't think a couple of them are going to do anything wrong, mate.
Oh, good. I say I must have put about 30 in there. I've never had an adverse effect of putting any natural product in the reef. So I used the mud, I used the phytoplankton, the copepod, stuff like that. So it's all. I'm just trying to build up the biodiversity, and I'm trying to. I'm going to use another bacteria as well. That so I was speaking to Nick, and he's saying don't just use the same bottle of bacteria. So I'm using at the moment.
You're using Dr. Tim's, aren't you?
Yeah, which I love this stuff. I love it. So I put in a capful every. I put a capful in every 3 days. I swear to God, this.
Oh, there we go. Snap.
Hey, here we go. It's good. It's good stuff.
This is Jay's real recommendation. This one.
Oh yeah. It was on the video, wasn't it? Yeah.
Wasn't it?
It is good.
Yeah.
It is good. But Nick was saying add different bacteria as well. So it's the colony.
Makes sense.
The colony one as well. So I'm going to get a bottle of that, and then I'm going to start mixing in the different bacteria. Keep the live feeding, keep the phyto, and I think the reef benefits from all that kind of natural good stuff, as it were.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm just trying to keep focused on, really. So I think that's what else has been going on, really. Everything's just ticking over, which is, it's nice. Just enjoying the hobby for what it is.
Have you still been doing water tests and your water changes and so on, Jay, or you just been kind of neglecting that?
I've gone back to doing my water changes because the new fish from Ness's, the scooter blenny.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy, but basically I have to feed loads, otherwise he doesn't get anything. He just lets it go by him, and that's pushing up the nitrates, phosphates. So whereas I didn't need to water change as often, I'm now doing weekly water changes again. But he's worth it because he's a great fish, and he adds a lot to the reef, and he's settled in as well after all that drama at the beginning.
Yeah.
With him getting bullied and stuff. I hate bullies, so I felt sorry for him. But now he knows his place, to be fair, which is at the back of the tank.
But Jay, wasn't he winding up the clownfish? Because wasn't he going over to their territory and trying to have a go?
He was winding them up. So he was going where they sleep. He was going where they sleep at night, and they basically didn't want him there. He's my favourite fish. He's an awesome fish, and he's an expert fish as well, apparently. but because of Ness's getting him kind of feeding well, eating frozen, he does like his frozen food as well. I think that's the only reason why I can keep him, because he was in such a good place when I got him. He was already kind of aquarium ready, as it were. He's just, apart from annoying the clowns, he's settled in fine. He's eating really well, and he's a great little guy. He hangs around with the crab quite a lot and the shrimp. They seem to be his friends. The other fish just bully him, but they just, every time the other fish go near him, they kind of tend to go away. But
you need to get a female for him, mate.
I'd love to get. I am going to get a female when I get a bigger tank. So that'll be the reward of getting a bigger tank. That's one of the first things I'd like to get him a missus. I think that'll cheer him up after. None of the other fish like him in there, so if I get him a female, then
let's hope the female doesn't. Let's hope the female likes him. Otherwise, it's end of the road, isn't it? If everyone hates him.
I know. They do say with those fish that you're supposed to get them at the same time, and kind of it's hard to pair them up once they're. No! Oh my God, I'd be heartbroken. Honest to God.
Yeah.
We're all keepers of animals, aren't we? And fish and corals, so. You never get over when you lose someone.
Yeah. So, Jay, would you rather have the scooter blenny or the rainbow chalice?
Oh, you are good at questions, aren't you? Right. I don't know if this makes it easier, but
it's either one or the other.
Ross got his massive pole out earlier, and I wasn't going to miss a chance on that, so I jumped straight on it, as you know, and I voted coral on that.
Yeah.
So on that, if I jump to the poll, the results of that one, there was 54 votes on it. 76% was for coral and 24% was for fish.
I'm not surprised with the variety of polls we can now keep, and the colour and the flow and everything else. When people come in, they tend to notice the coral first, and then they see the fish after and go, "Wow, look at those fish!" But it's usually look at the coral when people visit. I would say so. I don't think it's a surprise, as it's kind of a reef tank.
Yeah. The coloration you get, and they're just living art, aren't they? Basically.
Yeah.
And originally, I was about the fish when I first started. I was like, "Oh, get this fish, get that fish, get this." But then, as soon as you start to see the corals and the movement and the coloration, and when they're side by side, and just incredible. Absolutely, we're so privileged to have these things.
So what is it then, Jay? Is it rainbow chalice or scooter blenny?
Well, if I keep the chalice is worth like 8 blennies, isn't it? That's the thing.
If you buy it from Nessie's lair, it will be 8 times because how cheap it is. Maybe not.
I'm gonna go with the rainbow chalice because I'd find it hard to find another piece like that. Whereas the scooter blenny, I know he's got his own personality and stuff, but he's I can't believe I'm saying this, but it'd be easier to replace than that coral would. That coral is like a very rare piece to find.
Yeah, and also amazing, isn't it? Your blenny will stay the same.
Yeah.
Whereas the rainbow chalice, as we just saw from Steve's earlier on, they morph. They morph over the months. They will morph colours and shapes,
they do, and
sizes and everything else. And as you know, I love chalice, and that's one of the reasons why I like chalice, because even the ones that are only 2 or 3 colours, they just morph the shape, and the shaping and coloration is just really nice.
Mine's got 2 bands now. It used to have 1 band of like blue, green, and red and yellow, and now it's got a second one growing at the back. But I always thought that mine looked nicer than Steve's. But after seeing Steve's tonight, you know what? I think yours has taken over, Steve. I don't know what you've been doing with it.
I think Steve, is yours going like a normal chalice shape in terms of it's going into a disc shape more?
It's going into a disc, But I am seeing more and more lumps, where more and more mouths are coming. Yeah. So it was more of just like a round, like blob on a square. Yeah, that's what it was. But now as it's getting bigger, it seems to be like spreading. But where it stayed, the lump seems to be spreading, and it's getting more mouths on it. But I'm seeing a lot more colour on it, a hell of a lot more colour.
I find if they're in open flow, then you'll get a more consistent growth. Whereas mine are not. They're all funny shapes and everything. The rainbow, where the others are in more open water and they haven't got anything around them, they do go in a more of a disc shape. And they're going to more diameter, and they don't look so so weird. So looking at yours, so therefore you'll start getting the color growth a bit more, and you'll see the colors in the kind of disc, and they'll
for sure
will be a bit better.
I mean, you can see like on at the back part of it. I think you see it in the next video that I'm going to upload. You see it, and it's gone like orange, and then the green has gone across it, so it looks like a cross, you know, on it. So it looks like it's morphing, you know, in the middle. Whereas only I was looking back on a few videos, and I think it was about maybe 2 months ago or so, 2 or 3 months ago, and I looked at it and I filmed exactly the same spot, obviously, and all it was just that orange part, and the green was nowhere near it. So it just shows you, and that's a good thing that I like about YouTube and with uploading content and video in it, is because it's not about how can I put it, showing off your tank, or if it's like a video diary to me. I can then see, like, look back and I go, look at the growth, look at that growth from when I got it, and this, that. And it's just, that's what I love about it. It's just like seeing the growth of it over time. I look back to videos a year ago and I go, wow, you know, because I see my tank every day. You don't realize the growth of it until when you look back on a video and you go, wow, God, I didn't realize it grew that much, or that's grown like that. You know what I mean? It's a preview of what Pikachu, mate. Listen, at this moment in time, you know what? At this moment in time, I am getting a thing yet. I'm actually supposed to be going to go down there, actually. But I need to get my, like, a lot of the SPS in my tank are doing well. Now I'm finding, obviously, that milliporas are fairly easy to keep. Now, obviously, I need to get to the bottom of why that millipora died, because it was one minute it was perfect, the next it was gone. Now, I'm assuming there's one or two things. Is one that because the nutrients started to bottom, as in the nitrates were 0, or 2, the area that it was, all the other the corals were all touching each other. So I'm thinking, has it been a mixture of both? Is it a case of because they bottomed out a little bit, and is it a case of that they stung each other as well? And then obviously one of them's got to lose out on it, you know what I mean? And only the strong survive, sort of thing. And I think that might have been the case, because it seems strange to me how it seems to be okay, and then the next minute, you know, it was like it had completely gone, you know, like it started to white out. So and yet all my other SPS are perfect, you know what I mean? It growing like weeds. So this is why I'm thinking, I'm aiming to the point that it's because it got stung. So I've stuck out where it is. I've stuck that green barley green slime off that I've had for, well, God, I've had for ages and ages. That's been all around the tank, that thing. And I've stuck that there, and the polyps seem to be perfect, you know, flowing. Everything seems to be fine. Going on to this question, what's your pH? pH, I measured it. I bought another test kit, the Red Sea pH one test kit. And when I tested it, I mean, we go on these pH monitors and probes, yeah. Now, these pH I don't believe in any of them, to even perfectly honest, unless you're going to get like a professional lab grade. Even my KH keeper supposed to be a professional lab grade pH probe, yeah. Now, bear in mind that pH probe is sitting in water that is in a little tiny cup in the actual monitor. It's not in my tank. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not in the display. It's in a little cup. So that stays there in that cup until it gets tested for 4 hours later, every 4 hours. So the pH is going to drop in there no matter what. So I'm getting like pH reading on that at 7.8. Yeah, the maximum, that's all it's going up to. Now, when I tested it on the actual test kit, the Red Sea one, it was coming out that I had over 8.2 from my display. So it's like, you know, it's wondering what to believe. You know, I'm like, right, do I believe this test? Even if it's like I take off, like, say, 10% off the test kit, or 20% off the test kit, it's still going to come in. You know, you're hoping that it's going to come in about 8. And 8 seems pretty. It's not too bad, I suppose. I prefer it to be 8.3, 8.4, but I know I'm never going to get that. But you know, as long as it's above 8, that's fine. But when during the night on the KH keeper, it says that it drops to 7.4 and 7.5. I just can't believe that it'll drop to 7.4, 7.5. But I might be wrong, and that might be right. So, but like I said, I look at the way it is. I look at the tank, and the tank seems to be growing, seems to be healthy. So that's all I tend to do now. I just look at the tank. If certain corals are not looking good, then I'll just, you know, then obviously it's an issue and I'll test for something. But other than that, I look at the tank and see how it goes, and then I just leave it at that. But yeah, I think it's about 8.2, 8.1, 8.2.
You thought about getting the? I know you got an Apex. So you thought about having the Apex pH probe?
No,
because I thought they're about £100, I think.
Yeah, but you look at £100, 100. It's not. Would you call that a lab grade probe kit? A lab grade probe? I wouldn't call it. You're probably looking at £400 or £500 for a proper, really good quality one. I would have thought, but I don't know, Paul. You know, because
at my work, I do a lot of calibrations on pH probes and so on, and the pH probes that we use on an industrial scale, we get a cost that I think is around about the £200 mark for one of them.
Right.
But to put that in perspective, we need to go every 3 months and calibrate them, because if you leave them any longer than 3 months, they drift massively. Right. And at that, you're lucky if you get a year out of probe before you have to replace it. So it's weighing up. Is that worth it? You know, you have to be on top of them. You have to calibrate them. You have to replace them every year. Is it worth that for pH when you can use your test kit? For me personally, I don't think it would be. But
no. You know what? I paid £20 for the. Is it £20 or £18.99, whatever it was for the Red Sea one? It was the only I did stock at my local shop, so I just bought it. And you know what? I tested it a few times, so you know, and it came back near enough identical to what it was tested before. So you know, hopefully that is in the right ballpark, and then the probes are not right, but. Yeah, I don't really know, mate. I mean, because you dip it in when you calibrate it, you're calibrating it in the solutions, and once you've calibrated it, you put it back into the solution that you've tested before, and it comes back. It does a reading, and it comes back at 4 or 7 or 10, whichever you've tested it out at, and it does come pretty accurately close to it. Yeah. But my thing, especially with the KH in the KH keeper, is it's in the cup. So the probe is not in my tank. Do you know what I mean? So remember that water's coming from the tank into the cup. It's getting dripped in, it's mixed up, and it's being tested that way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's gonna be lower out in the tank. There's no oxygen, nothing going to it. It's just sitting in a cup. It's dead still water. So for me, I'm thinking, you know, if it was in the tank, it might be a different reading. You know, like say in the main display, where there's flow, where there's oxygen going into it, you know, everything moving about your return. Maybe it might be different in there. And it would be interesting if I got one and just stuck it in the tank and monitored it for a week or so and see whether there was any difference. Do you know what I mean? But I might look into it in the future. But like I said, Ross, £200, £300, you know, for a pro. For me, I could see myself spending money elsewhere. Maybe on a new torch or something like that. I don't know.
Is there any way of getting more oxygen to your tank? Is it right in the middle of your house? Like, where's the nearest window or access?
The window is in. Ross has seen it. It's in the centre of my house. You know, my tank. It's like
it couldn't be any more perfectly in the middle of your house, could it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the benefit of fresh air, obviously, you can never have too much fresh air. So if you just whack some fresh air in, you're
I mean, we do have the window open, but obviously winter, you know, it's not the best. I think the missus goes a bit mad when I got the window open.
Put the coats on while you open the window.
I say that about the gas when they're switching the gas on at like 25 degrees, and I'm like, put more clothes on, switch the gas off. You know what I mean? But yeah,
I get the pipe going from the skimmer. I mean, I don't know how far you must be quite away, aren't you, from the?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to run one right outside, get a big, you know, like half-inch pipe or something, and run it straight outside, drill it through the wall. Underneath the cabinets in my kitchen, and then straight outside into the wall there. But I mean, it would let a lot of air in, oxygen for sure. But it would be a bit of a trek.
About, bubble method, bubble scrubbing, CO2 scrubber, so on. I think a few folk have put, you know, the wooden air stones, put them in the tanks. I think that's meant to be quite good for.
Yeah, somebody did mention putting air stones. I think it was Scott. Scott mentioned it when we went to practice.
No, did you not? I thought you bought a couple of the air stones, didn't you, Steve?
I bought them, yeah. Well, when I bought them, but when I brought, I thought I had the actual bubble, the actual machine, with a plug. But I didn't have. I forgotten to get the, the dual adapter, where I could put the two of them. I only had the one, so I've not set it up. But maybe it is a way to go. But the only thing with those machines is they're just noisy as anything.
They're noisy.
So loud.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, they're so loud, and like you can't hear my tank in it. It's like it's on. You can't hear anything. There's nothing. You can't hear the skimmer or nothing. Yeah, and I switched it on. I switched the machine on in the kitchen, and my missus heard it, and she was sat in the living room. So I'm like, whoa! I mean, freaking, I don't know about that, mate. Maybe if I have to wrap it up or something, in cloth or something to quiet it down. I don't know, but yeah, it would be great if somebody made something that was super silent, and a machine that was super silent for sure. But yeah, I don't know whether I could run that, to be truthful. I think it would just be too loud, because you'd have to run it all the time, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
Someone said a CO2 scrubber. That's a good idea. Why not?
I've got a CO2 scrubber. I've got one from bids. Yeah, I've got one, yeah. It doesn't do much. Yeah, it doesn't do much, mate. Well, I say it's not doing much. According to the KH keyboard model, it's not doing much. So, but according to the test, it was saying that it was 8.15, 8.2. So, in that range. So maybe it is doing something. I don't know. But yeah, I've got a CO2 scrubber with soda lime and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's a tricky one. I think because of the tubing that I run into my tank as well, into the CO2 scrubber, it's only very tiny, a very tiny opening. Right. Now, I don't know whether to get some maybe wider, wider union. Is it union? Yeah. Union fins? Maybe get some larger ones, and maybe get a bigger tube, a wider tube to let more air in. I don't know. Maybe it's something like that. Well, yeah, it's a tricky one for sure. pH. Yeah.
How often do you change the media on the CO2 scrubber?
Well, it turns, doesn't it, Paul? So it turns. When I turn, it turns from white to lilac. So when it goes to lilac, that means you can tell. But usually, I'd say it'd probably be every 2.5 weeks, 2 to 2.5 weeks. I'd say it's usually near the top. It's usually near the top. And then I change it. So yeah, it's but so obviously it's doing something, but I can't see it raising it as much as maybe it should do. But yeah, it's a tricky one, pH for sure. I mean, if you live like yours, Jay, right next to the window, Ross is near the window.
Always.
Yours near your patio doors.
Yeah, that one there. I've never had a problem with pH from what I've tested. The doors there's a vent above the door, and I just keep that vent open, so you constantly got a small amount of air coming through. Yeah. And I think that works a treat. And when I did have a pH probe on it was a lot higher. And I think that's the issue I was talking earlier on about the tank in the garage. The SPS, the sticks I've been struggling with, and the only difference is, I think, is the pH on that, because they've always grown really well in that. And I think it's down to that. It wasn't deliberate, by the way, when I set it up. I wasn't thinking of pH and air coming through the door, because when you first set up a tank on that, you don't even think about that, do you? You just think about getting the fish and the water in, and you learn that as you go along.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like I said. I mean, there's nothing better than fresh air, is there, to raise your pH for sure. You know what I mean? But it's like where we have our tanks, we can't all have them near a window. We can't all have them, under the window near the back door. It's just not feasible. You can't do it. But
then you see other people saying don't have a tank by a window because you get algae and stuff like that. But I don't have any. Exactly. This is north facing. I don't have the sun. Well, the sun does actually come in first thing in the morning, but it's only for about an hour, if that, on the corner of the tank. So it's not going to be a problem at all on that. But a lot of people avoid it for sun coming through and then causing problems.
Yeah.
Mine's the same, Paul. Mine's north facing. I get it for about half an hour in the morning, and then it just goes off. And it's just using the actual light.
Yeah, mine's the same. But to be honest with you, by the time the sun's moved round to the side and in the back of my house, that's when I'll be opening the blinds anyway. So the sun never really ever comes in this room because it's a north-facing room. So this room's at the front of my house, and the back of the house is where I get all the sunlight. So I'm kind of the same. I don't get any sunlight in this room, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so it works well, doesn't it? Lack of sunlight, but you get the air coming through that helps. circulate and helps the tank.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. There was a couple of earlier questions. So there was someone asking about Chalice. Are they plated? Are they encrusting? Well, they do both, depending on where you put them, and some vary. So I've got some that don't encrust on the rock at all, and they just plate. But then I keep a lot of mine on the sand bed, so that's a problem. And then someone else is asking around Zoas. Only about 3 or 4 heads out of 10 have opened, but hasn't been in the tank very long. I mean, I know I've had Zoas that have taken 2 weeks before I've had some polyps open. Sometimes just moving around, and if some of them are open, then eventually I usually find they all open. Not always the case.
I think it was it Tech Trader that was asking that, because I think he was saying he doesn't have a test kit for phosphates and so on. He's only been testing for pH. So I would also check out your levels to make sure that everything's all right in there, because if you're not checking phosphates, then that could be causing it. I know I've had issues with that previously where phosphates were high and the zoas didn't like it. And but yeah, I wouldn't worry if they've just been added. I mean, I've had some from you, Paul, that took a while to open, but I've also had some that I got from Untitled Reefer that took over 3 weeks to open. And they fully opened. It was actually my scrambled eggs, and they opened, and they're probably one of my brightest corals in the tank just now. But they did take, I think it was about 3.5 weeks for them to open after they'd been shipped up to me. So yeah, I wouldn't worry overly, but I would definitely check your levels. If you don't have test kits for it, I would be doing that.
Yeah, I'd definitely have a phosphate and nitrate, because with Zoas, if the nitrates and phosphates are too low, they could well struggle.
Yeah, they don't like it.
They do like a bit of both, because they're softies, aren't they? More so than others. So I definitely have that.
A bit of iodine as well. Iodine.
Yeah.
I was really like that. Not obviously not just the tiniest amount, but they do respond well to it. But if you can explain the behaviour of zoas, you're doing well, because they just sulk for no reason for days or weeks at first, don't they? And then they start to come out. But
and what some people can look after, other people can't look after. It's really weird. That's chaos. I know some people really struggle with Atta Chaos. Yeah, I grow it like weeds, and there's others that I struggle, and other people really grow. It's just it's weird.
Yeah, my rasters.
Phosphate test kit. That's the one that I'd recommend.
Yeah, the phosphate one is the best. Well, not
for sure.
It's the one that easiest to read, because you'd have to convert.
Hey, going on to the Hannah checkers. What's everybody's opinions on this new one that's coming out?
Complete waste of time, effort, money, everything. Total waste of time.
And you know the one thing that came to me was thinking, all right, you know what? I like the concept of it, because it tells you the steps through it. When I watched the Reef Builder one, and it showed you the steps, how to go through it. So you can't make a mistake, doing it and stuff. Yeah. But a point that somebody made was, even though we have all single ones, we have them all single. So we have the alkalinity, the phosphates, the calcium ones, whatever you want. Yeah, we can do them while one of them's already tested. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So if I do a phosphate, I could do my alkalinity, I could do my calcium. After it, do you know what I mean? With that one, you can only do the one. When it first came out, I thought that it measured the whole lot at the same time. That's what I thought first. Like you do the one sample and it told you the reading of like everything. Now maybe I was like a bit naive, thinking nobody's going to make one like that for sure. Not
that's really what it should do, Steve. You're saying what it should do.
Something should do that, where you could make it test everything in the one test. So according to that, it's £300 our money, But I just don't see the money where the money is, because you've still got to buy all the reagents, I'm assuming. So it's just like keeping one of our for each and every test that you do, Whereas if they would have made it, they could have sold one for 350 quid, had one pack of tests, 25, which tested everything. Do you know what I mean? And that way,
I guarantee
you'd have got a lot more. Hey,
we could have sold one for 500 quid that was one test, and I'd have bought it.
Oh, exactly. I would have sold all of them. Yeah, I'd have sold them all for 25 quid each, 30 quid, and bought that if it did one tested everything. I'd have sold every one of them, because that just that is the whole idea is eliminating testing. If you could do it in one test and get 4 readings, say you got your nitrates, alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium readings, say out of the one test. Out of one test, I'd be like, listen, sign me up. Where is it? I'll buy one. I'll buy one. I'll buy one tomorrow. That's what I'd be like. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll sell me others, because if you can enjoy the hobby more as opposed to testing it, then we would all want that for sure. You know what I mean? I do anyway. You know what I'm
personally,
like.
So with the Hannah checkers, I've got the phosphate, nitrate, and alkalinity. That's the top 3 that I would say.
Yeah.
And out of that, I've got it now where I start the nitrate one off, and when that's going, I start the phosphate one off. Then I do my alkalinity one, and in total, the nitrate one takes 7 minutes to run. By the time the nitrates one's finished, the phosphate one finishes, and the alkalinity one's done, and I've got all 3 results within 7 minutes. Whereas for that machine, you'd be waiting 7 minutes to do the first one, then you have to wait another 3 minutes to do the next one, and so on.
Exactly.
Also, if that machine malfunctions or the batteries die or something, you've no test kits. Whereas just now, you've at least still got the rest of them you can use if one goes down. And
I agree.
It's such a gimmick, I think. I just don't understand why they've done it. I can't see a benefit to it. And I also believe that it works out more expensive than buying the kits individually if you buy that all-in-one checker.
Through the powders. The powders are supposed to be different. Yeah, I just couldn't understand. It was only when I watched it and I thought, I'm sat there thinking in my head, are we missing
something? Are you missing something?
Yeah, am I missing something here? Like, I assumed that it was an all-in-one system. That's what I assumed. You know what I mean? All right, it gives the bells and whistles where you can store. I think it's 10 different tanks. So, say for instance, if you're a maintenance guy and you've got your clients and stuff, you could test their tanks and you could store their readings on their account and so forth. And I think it stores 10, I believe, or something like that. Now that's a good idea. Don't get me wrong. You could jot back. Oh, what was my test net last week? But I know what you're saying. A pen and paper.
There's also that, mate. That does exactly the same thing.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking.
I mean, we've all got smartphones too. You can put it in a note and send it to the customer.
There's apps where you can keep all your readings and stuff like that, and it'll be a graph, and then you can download them, and they're free of charge. A lot of the apps, they do it. Yeah,
I use Aquarium.
I've got one as well. I think it's Aquarium Note or something. Mine's just called.
I can't remember what I use.
Yeah, that's the one I use, Jay. Aquarium Note, and it's all right.
Oh no, I have
brilliant little app, isn't it, Ross?
Yeah,
it's a free app. Brilliant little app. You can track all your purchases. You can track your livestock. You can track your dosing, your parameters. And it's free of charge. It's a great. I know it's an Android. I don't know what it is.
I use Aquarium Keeper. That's on iOS, and it's pretty basic. And all it does is just capture. You can just keep what your readings are, and you can see what they are over a period of time. And it's free of charge.
I use that aquatic log. That Dimitri Terminov, is it? The aquatic log, the one who Dimitri Terminov, the one who owns, the one who does all aquafor. I have that one. It's fantastic. But I mean, I paid the figure. I think it was like $20 odd or something. $20 odd, I think. Where you can upload stuff. You get different things as well. Then like different product reviews and stuff, and you hear about things first and stuff like that. So I enjoy it. Plus, I've started to test it, especially because I've got this new laptop now. It's a lot better, a lot quicker, and stuff like that. I am when I'm testing it now. I'm on it. I'm opening my laptop and I'm logging it all down now. Exactly, like on each test and making sure that, because I used to do that, put it on a piece of paper or this, this, that, and the other, and then the paper will go missing. I'll be like, what was that? What was that test? Or I've misplaced it.
It's easy on your phone,
Yeah, so
I do that, mate. I've got a spreadsheet on my laptop that I just fill in every time because I actually use the timer. The timer on my computer is what I use when I'm doing mixing up the solution. So it's right next to it. I use that and it works perfectly, to be honest.
Yeah, there was someone in a comment earlier on saying, "Is the Hannah stuff that good?" Because I know you three all use Hannah. I don't use Hannah at all, and I'm really good with the ones I've got. So I use Elos high res for phosphate, and I use Red Sea for most of the other stuff. And been using that for years, and I'm pretty good with that. But I know you three are really into Hannah, and you think they're really good value, don't you?
So I was dead against Hannahs to start with, as I just could not see the value in them. I thought they were a rip-off, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until I actually got that voucher from Reef Exotics, I think it was, which meant I could basically buy 3 Hannah checkers for the price of 1. So I bought them, and now having done that, I would pay full price for them and be still really happy with them. Now, that's based on 2 things for me. When you're doing the test now, I was using all the Salford tests beforehand. When you're using the Salford tests, sometimes slight difference in light conditions or slight difference in the way you look at the tests, the colours can be quite difficult to interpret. So you might end up with one between a value and a set value, and you don't know where it is. But also, there can be a big gap between those values. You could have 5 and 10, but you could be sitting anywhere between that. And if you're happy with only knowing that, then that's fine. But if you want more of an accurate result, I think you can't beat the Hannah checkers. It's giving you a digital result. Yeah. Now, I know there's going to be an error. I know there's going to be tolerances and so on.
Yeah.
You could argue till the cows come home on that one. But for me, it's easier to chuck in the solution, give it a shake up, press the button, walk away, and get a digital readout. That's where I see the value in it. Rather than try to find a reliable light source, looking at it, try to pitch it between the two. That's my take on them anyway. And I think that's why I like them so much. I just find them much easier to read. Whether they're accurately much different or not, that leaves to be kind of interpreted by yourselves. But
yeah, I definitely get what you mean about the colour. That's why I always do the tests in the morning. And then when the tinger goes on the time zone, I always go into the garden because you get then a true light on that. If I'm doing it, if I did it in the evening, it's really hard to read because I use the Red Sea one and it turns from blue, I think it is, to yellow, where of course under a light, you've got no idea really of what you're doing. So I get the downside, but I always find I test at a certain time of the day as well. Because I think if I was to test morning and afternoon and evening, I'd get a different reading anyway. Because the tank is in a different position of its day and its consumption and everything else. So I always do it at roughly the same time, which is in the morning, usually between about 7 and 9 in the morning, depending on what I'm up to. And that really helps.
I bought most of the Hannahs when I first started because I thought if I know what the water's like, that's half the battle in this hobby. If you get the water right, then all the other things will start to fall into place. So I thought the investment in the Hannahs was a good investment in terms of keeping the stuff alive. That's what I went with. But I still do like. I know I'm a big fan of Hannah, but the ease of Salifert kits, you know what? They are good for the money. They are really good value, and they're not hard to spot the change in the coloration of the vial. And then you obviously measure the amount that's remaining in the syringe. You know what? If I wasn't with my Hannahs, I would go Salifert.
Most people seem to start off with Salifert because I did, and then I moved away to other test kits, and it's the ones that's recommended because they are cheap. And if you're in the hobby and you're not too sure you're going to start or not or stay, then actually it's really cost effective, and it does the job, doesn't it?
Get the Salifert first, and then if you're a bit longer, then go with the Hannahs pack.
Absolutely.
So I still use the Salifert test kits from my calcium, magnesium, and my pH. That's the 3 things that I use them for. I use the Hannahs for my phosphate, nitrate, and my alkalinity, and Salifert for the others, and that works well for me. I think Salifert, a lot of folk do.
Calcium one. I prefer the calcium Salifert one than the Hannah. Actually, I use
tried the Hannah.
Yeah, the Hannah one is all over the place. But
didn't you say it's quite difficult to do as well? The
Hannah one.
Calcium, it's very difficult. You have to have deionized water and all sorts of.
That's the only one that I'd probably give 1 out of 10 for is the calcium. It's just so inconsistent. It's so inconsistent. I did a test. I did 5 tests. With 5 tests. With the same water, everything out my tank, and each one of them come back like 25, 50. One come back at 380, one came back at 470. I'm like, there's no way in a million years would I trust this one. You know what I mean? And then and yet when I used, like Jay says, I used the Salifert, tested that 5 times, same water, done exactly at the same time. It came back within 10 of each one all the time. It was like super consistent. So there's no way I would trust. It's just too inconsistent. The alkalinity one, like I said, the phosphate ones for me, and the nitrate, I think they're like super accurate. They're super on point near enough. You know what I mean? I would have thought as good as you can get for a hobbyist test. You know what I mean?
The thing to remember is it doesn't actually matter just how accurate it is. It's that you're consistently testing it week after week with the same test kit, so you can see if that trend is rising, if it's falling, whatever. So you might be out by X amount, but as long as your corals are happy and that's staying a steady line, then great.
True that. You see, I always look at it like this. I think to myself, well, if for instance, say for argument's sake, I have it with my KH keeper there, So my KH keeper, I've been slowly reducing my alkalinity now. So I want to get it to below 9. So I want to get it about 8.5 eventually. Well, I'm slowly but surely doing it over time. Basically, because from speaking to people and stuff like that, and Nick is like, reduce it to what natural seawater is. You know what I mean? I've always run higher alcohol. So like he says, you are going to get maybe quicker growth with certain SPS, but you won't get like the true color. You won't get like, so I've sat there and I'm thinking, you know what, maybe, you know, he's probably right, stuff like that. And a lot of people told me so. I've been slowly reducing it and stuff with the thing. But when I've tested my KH keeper and it said 9.12, say, yeah, I've tested at the same time I tested the alkalinity Hannah checker, and that's coming at 8.45, 8.46. So that's like 0.5 out, you know what I mean? But when I've tested it again the following day at the same time, it's come back 9.12, 9.15, yeah. And then tested the Hannah, and it's come back at 8.56, 8.57. So it's all, like you said, Ross, it's staying the same. So as long as it stays the same, that's the main thing. You're only going to have problems if, for instance, you test it one day and it says 8.5, and then the following day it says 9.6. You're going to go, whoa, hold on a minute.
If it's those swings, isn't it, on that?
When there's big swings like that,
we'll get the SPS to strip over time.
Exactly.
But then you have a delay reaction. It can take weeks before an SPS strips. So when it strips, you've got actually no idea what's happened, because it's an event that's happened quite a while ago. On that.
Scott said something about the Sen. What does the Senai do? Scott mentioned the Senai.
Oh, it's the par reading.
Yeah, so we had this conversation. Was it a couple of weeks ago around, because Julie was having problems, and I know people were putting things in the messaging. I think she sorted out some of the problems that she had with the Senai about calibration and stuff like that. I've seen people rate it highly and others not so highly as well.
I've done on my next video. I've done a test reading because I've changed my lighting on my tank, so it's just adjusted it slightly. Because I've started to put the because I was putting the Orfec or bar on. I was doing that every other day. Now I've put it on every day now. So, but what I've done is in turn to compensate for that is I've reduced the LEDs slightly. But when I tested it, it's exactly the same par as what I was getting originally. So, but I've done a screenshot of when I tested the actual tank, and I've written on it exactly what the par readings are in my tank, and some of them you'll be shocked. Like even now reducing it, I'm running at like 50. I think it's about 55% on each of the LED with that Orfec bar, where that green Ceratopia is. That's coming in at around 600 par. That is. And it goes like mad. 600 par where that is. And yet, you know what? You just wouldn't believe it. You'd be like, wow. And the what you call it, the Milko Stylo around that area, it's about 540, 545. So it's just like mind-boggling. You know, it's crazy. So
is that high up, but also it's in the range of 2. So you're getting 2 radians. Is it radians?
No, so it's getting. I've got the AI. So it's got. Remember, that's where those two are. That is right above where the main.
You got lights of 2 pucks on each one. I can't remember.
Yeah, 2 pucks on each.
So you're getting both pucks hitting them underneath.
Exactly, but it's right in the center, so it's like right overhead. Whereas the others on each side is not as brighter, but you're still looking at 400. 410, 420, where the other sides are, which is about right. You know what I mean? But where I was blown away when I measured it. Pardon?
What's the sandbed where the chalices are and stuff like that?
Where the chalice is 210. Where that is, it's 210. So it's fairly. But that and that is like we've reduced part. Now really, should you run it at like say 160ish, maybe 150, 160 something maybe, But remember, it's settled in now, so it's adjusted to it. It was on the sandbed, so and then I've raised up about 4 inch off the sandbed. So even when you get a Senai or any sort of par reader, you raise it, you put it on the sandbed, and it was like when I stuck my sandbed right on the sandbed, it was coming in at about 145, 150 on the sandbed, just 2 or 3 inches up. It's like 210, 195, 210, and it's just those couple of inches that make a difference. And since I've raised it up, that's when I start to see more growth, more colour, and stuff like that. So they are worth the money. But I mean, you can do a lot of things with the Senai. You can put the slides in. You can pay the monthly tariff, which is, I don't know, I think it's about £10 or so. And you can get certain readings. You can keep it in your finger. It can act like a monitor, so it'll tell you if you've got any ammonia. You shouldn't really have ammonia in your tank, but it's good for a new starter. Say, for instance, I fully recommend them. You know, like if you was just starting off a tank, it'll tell you if you've got any ammonia traces and stuff like that. But they are good. And then the good thing is, once you can take it out and you can do a reading on your tank, and so they are good in that sense. And they're fairly cheap. The whole system is like £300.
You can buy a slide or something to do nitrate as well, is it, mate?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, you can put the slide in it. You put the slides in it. You soak them in salt water for 24 hours, and then you put it. Excuse me. You put it in the actual Senai monitor, and you stick it in your sump or stick it in your tank, wherever you want to stick it. And it reads, like you said, nitrates. I think it reads not phosphates, ammonia.
pH,
tells you the temperature, the pH, tells you quite a few things for sure. But I mean, I've got the Apex and stuff, haven't I? So for me, there was no point in me getting it all that sort of stuff. Plus, if I've got ammonia in my tank, that'll be the least of my worries. You don't know about if you've got ammonia in your tank. But for a beginner, you know, who's just starting out in hobby, just setting up a new tank, you know, I think they're good. I think they're worth it because you'll know if there's any ammonia in your tank for sure. It'll give a reading. It sends a text message to you and stuff. So, they're great. I think they're really good.
So, moving on, there was something I wanted to discuss, and I'm conscious that it might run on a bit of time. So, long story short, I have pulled the trigger on an upgrade for a new tank. I'm not saying much more than that because it'll be in Sunday's video, so there's no point in ruining Sunday's video, so you'll see there. But what I wanted to discuss was sump equipment, more primarily return pumps and skimmers, as to what people recommend for return pumps and skimmers, as in manufacturers and so on. You know, do you go down a cheap route and you replace them every so often? Do you go and spend a lot of money? You know, I know that you bought a new skimmer recently, Steve, didn't you? Did you get the Red Sea one? Yeah,
the Red Sea 300 I got, mate. Yeah, fantastic.
What do you think of that?
Absolutely brilliant, mate. I know. We all have this. There's this thing that goes around saying they need to bed in and stuff, and I do agree with that because my Nios I had to bed in, but it was only for a few days, and it started to work. With this one, from day one, it never overflowed. It never needed bedding in. It was like I turned the valve all the way down, just so it was getting the motor. You know, the motor was getting going. You know, and then every other day I just opened it slightly, just twisted it. Just very, very slightly. You could see the bubbles just go rising up in the chamber, and it was just like, and now it's like, God. In fact, let me see if I can. You might not be able to see it actually. But I'll see if I can shine the light in it. All the gunk out of it. It's let me just. It's
What one did you have before, Steve? You had different.
I had the Nios. The
Nios, that's what it was. Sorry.
Was it the 160 or the 120? Did you have?
No, the 120 I had. So if you can see. Look at the gunk in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's what a few weeks. You know what I mean? And the good thing with it, I mean, there's the gunk, and the good thing with it is this, like this tube in here. You don't need to take off the cup. You don't need to take it off. Just drain it with the actual tube. You know what I mean? But it's super quiet. It's really, really good. And somebody did mention about it when we done with CO2 scrubber, and it is actually plumbed in to the actual skimmer. If you can see, there's the cable there, just there.
Right.
And it's plumbed into it there.
Is that the canister on the left there?
Yeah. There, just there.
Yeah.
And then this is the blue tube that comes all the way, and it just comes under the door there. That's the only thing I could do. But yeah, like I said, but I've had to open up. I've opened up the actual this Chalice near enough 3/4 full now. On there, this roll's been on for God knows how long, maybe 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months, and it's just to let some nutrients in the tank, you know what I mean? And you can still see there's a fairly thick foam really in there, and it's really, really good. I'm really happy with it, mate, and it's super quiet, you know what I mean? So that's what you want, especially if you've got it in your living room. You don't want for sure you don't want a noisy skimmer, you know what I mean? And it's super quiet, does its job, and that's the main thing for me, you know, with it. But I could definitely recommend them. But they are large. It's a lot larger than the Nios. You know what I mean? So
I don't think I'd fit one of them in the sump.
You need to measure your sump dimensions for sure, because it is a fairly decent size. I was shocked, you know, like the cup of the Nios, which was like that, and then you look at that one, and it's like
quite slim, aren't they? Their footprint on the Nios 120 is. I've got it in the Red Sea Reefer 170, which is like 2-foot tank in the middle chamber, and it fits quite nicely in there. They've got some bio balls in there and stuff like that. But as soon as you put a skimmer in that middle chamber, you ain't going to get much else in there. You might be able to get a couple of reactors, but I suppose that reflects the size of the tanks. Arguably, you don't need loads of filtration in there. But I think, to answer the question, I suppose it really depends on all the kit, the price point you want to pay. Exactly. Because when it comes to return pump, even though I had problems with the S2, as you know, they sorted it out for me. I got it back, and I would still recommend the S2, and that's after 2 years. People say about you can adjust the flow and all that kind of. You don't need that on a return pump. You switch it on. Your feed mode's pretty good, I must admit, on that. If you want to do that, if you want, I'd say that's
a necessity for me. Is the feed mode? That's something
that
I want.
So I don't know if all of them do that. I don't know. Does the Red Sea one there do a feed mode, Steve? Oh no, you're sorry. That's talking about return pump.
The Red Sea.
Yeah. No. So you've so if you want to do that, I don't know if every return pump does it.
You see, all the DC ones do, don't they? You know what I mean? But it's, I mean, mine does. I can honestly say I've never, ever used a feed mode on my pump ever. I don't use it. I put the food into the tank, I pip it at a time like that, let it squirt in, and by the time it's even gone anywhere near the overflow, the fish have ate it. So I've never ever used it, but it has got on that one, that J-Cod, that I've had since day one, and I've never ever had a problem with it whatsoever. The DC 4000, I've never used a feed pump. I wouldn't even have a clue whether it'd work, if I'm perfectly honest. You know what I mean? But it's just, for me, they are good, those ones, and they're cheap. And I know I always go on, you pay for what you get, you know, sometimes, and I do say it a lot, you know what I mean? But that J-Bow, like so MB Reefers put it there, J-Bow return pumps, dead silent, and it is super silent. And it's just like, if you look after your pumps, like anything, if you look after it, clean your equipment, I think they'll last for you. And I clean mine out every 3 to 4 months. I clean my main return pump out, give it a good scrub. I leave it off for an hour. Like Paul says, I'll just run it in some citric acid in the bucket, just keep it in there, and then I just run it, rinse it under the tap, put it in some clean RO water, and stick it back in the tank, and it's good to go. And it's lasted me since mid 170, so it's 3.5 years now, and I've never had an issue with it, and I paid 69 quid for it. So you know what, I can't see a problem.
Can't argue that, can you? Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the point that I was trying to ask the question on there, was when I've been looking. You know, you can pick up, for example, a Bubble Mag 5 skimmer. I think Kraken had them for 120 quid. Or you can get a skimmer which looks to be exactly the same spec for 500 quid. You know, and then same with the return pumps. You can pick up a Jabo or a TMC or something like that for, you know, 40, 50, 60 quid. And then you've got other return pumps that's £200-300. And you think to yourself, is there really that much of a difference in value between them for what it is if you look after it? Like you say, Steve, if you're taking it out, cleaning it and so on, is it fine? Is it all right to get the cheaper stuff? I don't know.
I know what you say. Is it worth the extra 300 quid? You know what I mean? And the question that you got to look at yourself is like, you pay. I think certain ones you're paying for the name, aren't you? You know, you're paying for the name. You're paying for the brand.
You're paying for Ecotech, for example, which should be
absolutely
reliability, blah, that kind of thing. There's a J-Cod, the price difference is different. But you'll accept that actually, if it went after 18 months, you'd be annoyed, but you shrug your shoulders.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to look at it like this. Especially with like skimmers, what are you actually paying for in a skimmer? All you're paying for is the motor. You're paying for the pump. That's what you're paying for. Because every skimmer is basically the same thing. It's a cone shape. The majority of them are cone shapes. Yeah,
plastic.
They've got a surface bubble plate which just disperses the bubbles. All right, some of them are made different where you generates more micro bubbles and stuff like that. but there's not much more difference. That's all it is in a skimmer for it, for sure. You know what I mean? So when I bought the Nios, I could have gone and bought the Nios again and never had a problem. I mean, I think I only really need a pump because the actual everything else in the Nios is perfect.
Cracks or anything like that. It's going to work, isn't it? Because it's
going to work. Yeah. So I'm thinking,
change, blah blah blah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking of getting a nano, a smaller tank, in the new year. And I'm thinking I'm just going to buy the pump, and I'll buy a new pump, get it sent from Germany, and then I'll run that Nios in my new tank. You know what I mean? I know it'll work, so it'll be perfect. But for me, it's like that. You could go for the Bubble Magnus. I had a Bubble Magnus, and they were slightly loud. Now, was it the motor when I first got it? You know what I mean? It gave a bit of a hum, a bit of a hum to it, and it was like a vibration. And I just couldn't. I said no. I had it literally maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and then I sold it for like £80. I just got rid, and then I bought the Nios. So for me, it didn't work, but a lot of other people, they have them and they don't have problems with them. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah,
but she's still
I think it might be your luck with that though, because I mean, I've spoke to I think 3 people now who've got the Bubble Mag 5, and to be fair, when you look at the comments here, a lot of folk have said
they're
that
saying
the Bubble Mag 5 is really good. So
good value.
I think some people have bad experiences that you've had, Steve, where it's noisy and so on, or it's really good. So, but I think for me anyway, with that one, it's 120 quid for a skimmer brand new compared to
like
£400
Cassie Berry there, she said they found the Bubble Magnus a bit noisy. It was a bit of a hum. It was a bit of a hum for you, Ross. Like, say for instance, wherever you put your new tank or whatever you get, depends on if you're having it in your living room, then you might hear a hum, but then that's to be expected. You'd probably hear it, Whereas if you've got it in your room where you are now, you won't hear it down in your living room. So it depends on where you're going to put it. Like you said, your price, how much you want to spend. If I had the money, and I think I'd probably pay that little bit extra and just buy something that is fairly quiet and proven. Do you know what I mean? But I suppose it's down to you, mate. Really, you know what I mean and stuff. But I think with return pumps, I don't think you can go wrong with any. I think they're all relatively good. But skimmers are the main thing for the tank. They're like the heartbeat of it. They're taking out all the stuff. So I think you want a quiet one.
Going back to the skimmer thing now, can you oversize a skimmer? Can you buy a skimmer that's too big for your tank? Can you buy, I know that when I've read them, it says like this skimmer's good for 100 to 400 litres, then this skimmer's good for 500 litres, this one's 700 litres. If you've got the space for a 700 litre skimmer, would it work in a 100 litre tank? Or does it not work that way? I don't know anything about them.
So I think opinions have changed a little bit. It used to be get a skimmer that's double the size of your tank. That's what I definitely did. I haven't seen that as much now because filtration is much better elsewhere, as we've been talking. So I probably wouldn't go for double. One of the reasons why I went for double, in fact, that was about 1,100 for a 450 tanks. I was using no-pox. So I wanted it to skim really, really well to pull out all the crud and everything else. But I wouldn't probably do that now. Go for double, but that was definitely what I was advised to do years ago. But it depends on what you can get. Does it fit the size of your tank? So I would definitely go. If my tank was 400, I'd probably go above 400, but I probably wouldn't go to 1,000 anymore, like I have on this tank, because the technologies on the other filtration is far better than it used to. But also, if your tank's too clean, it won't pull stuff out. Paul UK Reefers just said that, because I found that in the Reef Pro, I didn't pull anything out for quite a while because I had the refugium going, and I didn't have much bioload, so it just won't pull. But I've read pieces that said that actually you can pull out too much from a tank, but I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be in the comments anyway. A lot of people are saying that. I mean, Opinionated Reefer said you can go one size up, anything more and it'll over skim. Paul UK Reefer, oversizing skimmer is not a good idea.
You see that one for mine, is rated up to 600 litres. It does say on the actual website that it can go on a 750. So for me, mine's only a 350 litre tank. Now, I must say, yeah, that I run my skimmer now every other day. So it switches off. It's on tonight, but it won't be on tomorrow. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've got that dialed in onto the Apex where it switches off and stuff. So it's every other day it comes on. But I've only got that because I've got the Chalice, and I needed more nutrients in the tank, and that was the only reason. So obviously tomorrow it won't be on. All the water and all the nutrients will just be passing through. And you've just seen the Chalice. It's opened at 3/4. So the majority of the stuff in my tank is just going to be good. It's not much is going to be cleared apart from a quarter of the tank sort of thing. Yeah.
And also depends on your buy load as well, Ross. So Ross, if you've got a really heavy buy load, lots of fish and stuff like that, so that's one way of doing it. But if you're not going to go really heavy on fish, then you kind of don't need as much export, do you?
Yeah. I know that quite a lot of people run their skimmers only at night time as well. I've seen a couple of comments about that in the chat here as well. So
yeah, someone said that right earlier when we was talking about having a skimmer or not, and I think it was Galgal. I think it might have been Galgal said, was it 10 in the evening to 8 in the morning? Maybe that's to do with pH as well. There's definitely someone doing it.
What's the benefit of just doing that? I don't.
pH, because the skimmer creates the bubbles that again can help increase your pH, and so therefore at night because your lights are off and there's less oxygen or whatever. I don't know what happens. Your pH will drop overnight, so therefore having your skimmer on could counter that.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's one of those ones that I've spent a couple of days looking at return pumps, looking at skimmers, all that kind of stuff, and I couldn't get my head around where the value between a Jabo or TMC or something compared to the Reef Octopus and all the, I couldn't figure it out, so I thought I would ask here to see.
So on the Red Sea Reef 170 I've actually got an Eheim pump on there, and it's been going since the tank was set up about 4 years ago. And I got that pump when I got the tank, and that was a second-hand one. I kept it in there because it was all attached to it, and I thought, why replace it? And I really like Eheim. They're really basic, but you switch it on and it goes. And I never turn it off other when I'm cleaning it. And that's what that pump, what's an Eheim pump? It might be 60, 70 quid. Might be a little bit more today because the price has gone up. It's definitely sub £100. People usually use those kind of pumps, the smaller ones for water changes and stuff like that. But I like Eheim. I think they're a really good brand. And
so do you control the flow of that through a valve ball?
No, I just so the valve on the Red Sea you control. So I basically on the pump, I can't remember if it's halfway, stays on permanent at that, and then you dial it in via the valve that you've got on most tanks. Red Sea you have water box, you've got them amongst others as well. So most of them have some kind of valve on it, and that's a really cheap as chips. And I bought that second hand as well with the tank. So I keep meaning, should I replace it or not? But I haven't. But
Well, with skimmer being off alternating days, does this mess up? No, not that I've seen. I tested, like I said, I tested with water. I tested with the Hannah Checker, the pH, the salinity. And it's 1.025. It's remember, it's just by evaporation, now, isn't it? You know what I mean? Really, skimming is like thing, but it doesn't really. Not that I've seen anyway. It's not affected. Not affecting my tank.
Anyway, if you're running your tank, if you're running your skimmer really wet, then of course you'll be emptying it every day. But then it depends on the size of the skimmer cup. But if you're kind of dry skim, then actually it's probably not taking that much water.
Well, you just seen that skim in there in that cup, and that's like literally 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks, and it's not even half. It's not even halfway up the cup yet, and it's 2 weeks skim that. So for me, I like to run a darker skim and get loads of micro bubbles going in that chamber, and just run a thicker skim in it. That's that for me. I just prefer that. I know a lot of people do run wet skims. Now I'm assuming that would affect your RO for sure, because obviously you're taking more water out and putting RO water in. So
and it's down to the volume of your tank of water as well. Would that have an impact as well?
Absolutely. If you had a small tank, then it would be an issue for sure. It'd be a definite issue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that helps you or not, Ross? I think whatever you do is probably the right decision. It's just the case of your sport for choice nowadays on kits. I think
go for a CJ pump, Ross. CJ. Hey, actually, Actually, I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm sure that the Red Seas, yeah, their return pumps, they are made by Seacha. I'm sure it's a Seacha pump on the Red Sea Skinner. Might not be 100%, but I'm sure I heard that it's a Seacha pump on that, and it's super quiet, mate. So I think
to be fair, the Seacha pumps are actually really good, and even that little 1.0 that I had, when you take the return hose from the water box off it, it was perfectly silent. It just was, the diameter of that hose was just restricting it to the point where, I don't know if you call it harmonics or something, but it was just that perfect limitation of where it was really noisy. So I don't have an issue with the Seacha stuff, to be honest. I would get another Seacha pump for something else, but just not for that little peninsula.
Yeah.
I think Seacha do the fully controllable return pumps as well. It's like an SDC.
Yeah, they do the DC. Yeah, they do the DC. Yeah, they do. They do the DC one, and they do a return. They do the return pump, which is supposed to be really, really good and really quiet. But I forgot what it's called actually, because I looked at one of them. Because obviously, with mine's like getting 3.5 years old now, 4 years old. So obviously, and I always look like, well, have a backup of some sort, just in case something happens. You know what I mean? But the one thing that I haven't really got a backup of is a return pump. I haven't got a backup of a return pump. So for me, it was like, do I take this one off and put a new one on, and then keep this one as a spare? That's served me well. It's done its time, clean it up. Wrap it up in cotton wool and put it in a box, you know what I mean? And then put a new one on it, or do I just keep it going until it dies? Do you know what I mean? So
I'd keep it going, Steve, because you can get one next day because you've got enough shots around. You know what happened to the tank over there? I did it for 30 hours without it. You put the heater in and blah, blah, blah. So the tank was fine. A bit of a balls ache to sort it out, but I wouldn't have a spare one personally because I know what you can do alternatively with sump and everything else. And I
suppose you're right, actually, going
on that otherwise. Because I like the Ecotech ones, I'd have a 300 quid one sitting there doing nothing, as opposed to, and actually, it was in the end, it was the power brick that tripped and blew. Blew the pump was fine, it wasn't the pump. It was the power brick that was the issue. So the pump wasn't the issue at all, even though it's like 5 years later. So that's what I personally would have a spare, but others would have a spare.
The SDC model, that's it. Seacha SDC. Keeps considering it.
I looked at that today, and it actually does give you all notifications for if the pump turns off, if it jams, if the water level drops too high, if it loses power. It notifies you with that, and I thought that's a good thing. But
I'm sure that this machine, I'm sure that this one as well, if I'm not mistaken, is that if you water, for instance, for any reason that the water where your return pump dropped below where it could pump it back in, rather than a lot of the motors will burn out or just shut and they'll just burn out and kill themselves. This one, I'm sure that this one, I think it has a cut-off sensor where if it's not running, not water's going through, it shuts itself off, which is a great thing as well. You know what I mean? To have.
I mean, the Reef Octopus one that I looked at, it's got a little float switch for cutting it off, but I think the Seacha one now, the next comment there about temperature, it measures the temperature, so it might work on when the temperature starts to rise, it will shut itself off. I don't know quite
which means it's drying out and the heat's going because it hasn't got the water around it. So that would that'd be a problem. Maybe the temperature goes of X, it cuts out.
I think Backshift Reefer and One Arm Reefer said, they are mugs. So I'm assuming they're talking about the Red Sea Reefer.
Yeah, that's what they're referring to.
I think it's made. Yeah, it is. It's the return pump. Yeah, like I said, mate. You know what? I think it's super quiet and Seacha, Italian made. I think they're pretty decent company for sure. And I definitely, if my pump went in there, I think I'd definitely look at getting maybe one of them. Or, like you said, the Vortex. I do like the Vortex. Don't get me wrong. I like the M1, the S1, and the M1 and stuff like that. The M2, is it? Yeah. But like you said, you're looking at 300 plus pounds for one of them. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and then when I see you, Paul, like having all these problems, I'm like, oh man,
Well, the M1 is still going.
And I know it trips because
and that was the power. That was the power brick. It wasn't the pump. So I had that one. That's 6 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm not 6, about 5.5, should I say? I got it when it first came out. So for me, that's really good value for money. The S2 I did have a problem with, and that got sent back and they replaced it. They sorted it out and it's as good as gold. So one of them wasn't nothing to do with the pump. That's because I had the power cut. And the other one, there was a problem with it. But I would still buy it again and I would still recommend it. So I was happy with what I've got there. But you are paying a bit more money. And as a couple of people said, you can get other things that have lasted the same amount of time for half the price, if not more.
Yeah.
I think I'd definitely go those two for sure. Those 2 ways.
Oh, Mother Reef has called time already. So before we do go, Paul, do you want to tell us what's happening next week on the live stream?
So next week we have got a guest. We've got the CEO of the US for Tropic Marine. He's coming on to talk about Tropic Marine, because I know you use the salt, don't you? I use All for Reef. I don't know over the time we've been doing live streams, different people have used different Tropic Marine products. So he's coming on. I'm gonna have a chat with him middle of next week just to talk about the topics and other stuff like that. So that would be good to have a manufacturer on. That's a global one. So kind of background. So that'd be really good. And we've got I got sent today a box of a few freebies in there as well. So we've got some giveaways as well. Nice. So that'll be quite good as well. Nothing spectacular, so I'm not going to get your hopes up on that, but there'll be a few things to give away as we're going throughout the evening as well. So I'm not going to do the Wheel of Fortune at the end, because that always gives me a bit of an ache. So I'll do it in a different way. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. So hopefully it'll be a really good guest, someone a bit different that we haven't on before, someone from across the pond as well, so we can talk about reefing in the US. And I think whenever we get someone from a different country, it's really good to get a different perspective on. So I'm hoping it'll be really, really good. So the banners will go up hopefully today, because over the weekend I'm going to hopefully sunny Scotland, meeting up with Ross on Sunday. So I'm flying out to Scotland tomorrow, coming back Tuesday. So that would be good for a long weekend.
Are you going to go to Ness's, Paul? Are you going to go to Ness's?
If I get a chance, I will. I will pop in there if I get a chance. But we've got quite a busy weekend. Other than Sunday night, I'm popping over to see Ross for a couple of hours. But hopefully it'll be a good live stream next week with a really good guest.
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. Actually, I think that'll be really good, mate. Well done.
Yeah,
definitely.
So that's on your channel next week, Paul.
It is, over mine, and the banner will be going up tonight for the simple reason that I won't be able to do it over the next 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So,
and I will be on the stream as well next week.
Excellent. I wasn't too sure whether you was back or not. To be great.
I'm off. I booked a couple of days holidays, so I'm off Friday. So, I should have been in. But yeah, for sure.
Good man.
So that's us kind of rounded up for tonight. So thanks very much again to everybody in the comments who've joined in. Some great comments tonight. So thanks very much to everybody there, and thanks to you guys for joining me. It's been great.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
And thanks,
Cheers, all.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
And
Have a good weekend.
Enjoy your holiday in New York, Paul, UK Reefer.
Oh, he's in New York next week. Well, I just need to tune in from New York. There's no excuse for missing it.
Nothing else to do.
No.
Cheers.
Right, thanks very much, guys.
Cheers,
have a good weekend. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.